My neighbor, HOA Karen, creates a fake HOA security patrol and gets arrested for impersonating law enforcement. Living in a quiet suburban neighborhood, I had always felt safe, almost too safe. The neighborhood was peaceful, and everything seemed perfectly in order. That was until the new HOA Security started showing up. At first, it seemed harmless enough, but before we start this story, I kindly ask you not to forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment telling us which city you are from and whether you have encountered such crazy HOA presidents. Thank you, and now let's get back to the story. Two men, dressed in black uniforms with HOA Security emblazoned across the back, stood by the entrance of the neighborhood, waving down cars. But the longer I observed, the more I realized something wasn't right. They weren't just monitoring the area. They were actively pulling people over, demanding identification, and handing out fines for the most trivial things. The whole thing seemed bizarre, but no one questioned it at first. After all, Karen, the president of our HOA, had always acted like she ran the place. But this time, something felt off, and I needed to find out what was going on. One afternoon, I found myself standing on my porch looking across the street as Karen walked by, her usual pink t-shirt and blonde hair shining in the sun. She looked proud, and for a moment I knew that something was up. Sure enough, she stopped and turned to address the neighbors.
"Attention, everyone!"
she yelled out in her ever-hysterical tone.
As you all know, there has been a rise in crime in this neighborhood, and the HOA has decided to take action. We are creating our very own security patrol. This is for your protection.
She paused, allowing the words to sink in. She didn't care if anyone was skeptical or confused. She was Karen, the queen of the neighborhood, and what she said went.
"I'm in charge of this operation,"
she continued, her voice practically oozing self-importance.
"The HOA Security will be patrolling the area 24/7. No one is above the rules, not even you. So, don't think you can get away with anything."
I watched as the neighbors stood there, stunned into silence. Some looked nervous, while others just nodded, too intimidated to question her. I had no idea how far she would take this, but I knew one thing: something didn't sit right with me. Karen couldn't just make up a security force and start enforcing rules without anyone's consent. Over the next week, I couldn't help but notice these HOA security guards popping up everywhere. They weren't just stopping cars at the neighborhood entrance. They were pulling people over in the middle of the street, demanding IDs, and issuing fines for the smallest infractions. One evening, I saw them ticket Mr. Wilson, a quiet, middle-aged man who had just moved in. He had parked his car slightly too far from the curb, and the guard demanded to see his driver's license and registration. "Why are you pulling me over?" Mr. Wilson asked, clearly confused. "This is a private street. I didn't break any law." "You're in violation of HOA regulations," the guard replied, his tone stern. "You're parked incorrectly. We'll have to issue a fine." "Fine? I'm just trying to park my car. I'm not hurting anyone," Mr. Wilson protested. But the guard wasn't having it. "It's not up to you to decide what's acceptable. We're the HOA Security, and we're in charge now." The guard continued to threaten Mr. Wilson with escalating fines unless he complied. I was watching from my window, my fists clenched in frustration. It didn't seem like this was about parking violations at all. They were using their power to control people. I couldn't just sit back anymore. I had to know what was going on, and I wasn't going to let Karen get away with it. I started paying closer attention to the so-called HOA Security. I took photos of them from my window whenever they weren't looking, documenting their behavior. I noticed that they were always in the same two-man team. A tall, heavy-set guy with short hair and a younger, slimmer man with a scruffy beard. Their uniforms looked new, but there was something off about them, something that just didn't sit right. I decided to take a closer look. Using the photos I had taken, I ran the faces of the two men through a facial recognition search. I had no idea what I would find, but it was the only lead I had. After what seemed like an eternity, The search returned results. Both men were listed on a website for local actors. They had posted resumes with their headshots, and there they were, listed as actors who had been hired for various roles, including security guard roles for corporate events and training simulations. My stomach sank as I realized what had happened. Karen had hired actors. These men weren't security guards. They weren't even licensed. They were just playing a role, following Karen's orders. The badges they wore were nothing more than cheap fakes. Karen had gone so far as to impersonate law enforcement, using these actors to scare the neighbors into compliance. I dug deeper, searching through the actors' resumes for more details. One of them had even listed HOA Security Guard as a past role in their portfolio. The website was riddled with red flags. It was clear now Karen had fabricated this whole HOA security scheme, probably to flex her power over everyone in the neighborhood. The whole thing was a scam, and people were falling for it. I knew I couldn't let this continue. It was time to bring the truth to light. Armed with the evidence I had gathered, photos, videos, and the actor resumes, I knew what had to be done. I wasn't going to go to Karen and confront her directly. I wasn't sure what she might do. Instead, I decided to send everything to the police. I emailed them the materials, explaining everything I had uncovered. I included the website with the actors' profiles, the photos of the guards in action, and the video footage of them harassing Mr. Wilson. I knew it wouldn't be long before they took action. The very next day, I saw the police drive into the neighborhood. I felt a strange mix of relief and anxiety. This was it, the moment of truth. The police cruised down the street, and as expected, the HOA security guards were in position, pulling people over and issuing fines. But this time, the real officers pulled up behind them. The two fake guards looked over, their faces turning pale as the police car stopped just a few feet away. "Step out of the vehicle," one of the officers barked, his voice sharp and commanding. The two men hesitated, exchanging nervous glances. Finally, the taller one muttered, "We're just doing our job. We're with HOA Security." "You have no authority here," the officer snapped. "You're impersonating law enforcement. Step out now." One of the guards immediately cracked, his voice shaking. "We didn't know it was illegal. Karen hired us. She told us to act like police officers. We were just playing a role. For money." The second guard quickly followed suit. "We didn't think we were breaking the law. We didn't know it was illegal. We were just following orders." The officers didn't waste any time. They immediately cuffed both men, and as they were led away, they tried to apologize, but it was too late. They were going down for impersonating law enforcement. The whole neighborhood had watched it unfold. As the officers led the two men to the squad car, Karen emerged from her house, looking furious. She stomped over to the officers, her face red with anger.
"What's going on here?"
she demanded, her voice shrill.
"I'm the president of the HOA. This is my neighborhood. What are you doing to my security guards?"
The officer didn't respond to her outburst. Instead, he looked her straight in the eye and said, "You're under arrest, Karen. You're charged with impersonating law enforcement and operating a private security force without any legal authority." Karen's eyes widened in disbelief.
"This is absurd. I was just trying to protect the neighborhood. You can't arrest me for that."
"You can't impersonate a police officer, Karen," the officer replied, his voice calm but firm. "And you definitely can't create a fake security patrol to intimidate your neighbors. You're going to jail." With that, Karen was cuffed and placed in the back of the squad car. As she was driven away, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The reign of terror she had imposed on our neighborhood was finally over. It was all over for her.